All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, in a surprising move, and of course, we've been saying that a ton over the last year in regards to coaching changes in college football, Luke Fickell is leaving Cincinnati to take over the Wisconsin Badgers program. Now, in 6 seasons at Cincinnati, Fickle was 57 and 18 with a pair of American Athletic Conference championships. We saw Fickle lead Cincinnati to the college football playoff last year. And since the college football playoff was created, Cincinnati is the only group of five football program to reach the Final Four in college football. We saw a lot of success from Cincinnati the last couple of years as they played in New Year's Six bowl games, and because of that, 9 players from Cincinnati were drafted this past spring in the NFL draft, including Sauce Gardner, who went in the top 5 to the New York Jets. Now, the timing of this, with Cincinnati set to go to the Big 12, and you figured, okay, Cincinnati's getting a bump up in conferences, more money, you name it. And it looked like Fickle was going to be the guy to help Cincinnati, get adjusted to like in life in the Big 12. That's not the case. So it's going to be interesting to see how this affects recruiting for the Bearcats program going forward. Now, on the flip side, of course, Fickle, being, who he is really helped this decision for Wisconsin. I mean, he's a Big Ten guy through and through. And more importantly, he's an Ohio guy through and through. He's born in Columbus, played at Ohio State, coached at Ohio State. And of course, he was an assistant coach for the Buckeyes, but then he was that linchpin between Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer. And then on top of that, coaching at Cincinnati. And you think about Fickle's time at Cincinnati and what he did, and it kind of correlates with what Wisconsin does. Fickle took guys that were overlooked, recruiting wise by the Big Ten. And you see what he did with them at Cincinnati. And of course, Wisconsin is a program that historically does not get the 5-star recruits to come to Madison. It's kids that were overlooked coming out of high school, 2 and 3-star kids. And of course, we've seen Wisconsin send their fair share of players to the NFL over the years, whether it was Barry Alvarez, who was the head coach, Brett Bielema, and of course, recently, under Paul Christ, but now it's going to be Fickle's turn. So obviously, the Big Ten money is much more extensive than the American money, American Athletic Conference, and then of course even the Big 12 money. I imagine that Cincinnati was going to get a bump up in facilities, now being a part of the Big 12 conference, but the facilities at Cincinnati, even with the bump up, are still not going to compare with what Wisconsin has football wise. And of course, this gives Fickle an opportunity to continue to recruit the Midwest. And I think he will have success there. But then now he's going to have to deal with the muddled Big Ten West. And of course, we saw what the Big Ten West has been for the last couple of years. And it's only going to get tougher with USC and UCLA set to join in 2024. So, of course, the questions are going to be, will Fickle have success at Wisconsin? And was this a desperation move by Wisconsin? Fickle has the potential to have success at Wisconsin. It's going to be an opportunity for him to allow this program to remain relevant. And for me, I think I'm not going to say it was a desperation move by Wisconsin, but it was more a move on their part to try to keep up with the Joneses. Because when you look at Wisconsin over the years, they've had their success, staying within that realm of guys as far as head coaches being, as far as what they're about and what they try to accomplish. And that started, when Barry Alvarez built this program and made Wisconsin football a national brand, so to speak. So I think he's going to have an opportunity to do that. And then, of course, trying to keep up with the Joneses in the Big Ten period, because, you have some names that have some backing with it as far as the coaching goes. Of course, Kurt Ferentz at Iowa, he's a senior man in the room. But then you think about it, James Franklin at Penn State, of course, Ryan Day at Ohio State, Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. Of course, Minnesota went out there a couple of years ago and got PJ Fleck. We just saw Nebraska hire Matt Rule, just to name a few. And we could just keep going down the list of coaches in the Big Ten. And of course, Lincoln Riley and Chip Kelly set to join those ranks when USC and UCLA, respectively, joined the Big Ten in a couple of years. So it's a matter of, for me, of just being able to keep up with the Joneses. Now, for Cincinnati, what's next for them? Because they're going to want to go out there and find somebody that's going to give them some clout as they're about to change conferences. And I think whoever is going to be the head coach for Cincinnati, whether that's somebody internally or if they go outside of their program, it's going to be somebody who's going to give them an opportunity to still recruit Ohio. Because remember, Ohio is a big state, it's a football rich state. And of course, everybody cannot go to Ohio State coming out of Ohio. Everybody cannot go to Michigan or Penn State. So Ohio, Cincinnati's still going to have an opportunity to get those kids because we've seen the Cincinnati program over the years consistently lose their coaches to top tier programs, and they have not skipped a beat. Of course, Brian Kelly was at Cincinnati once upon a time before he took the Notre Dame job. Butch Jones was at Cincinnati and had success there before he took the Tennessee job. And now, of course, Luke Fickell. So I think Cincinnati's going to find themselves another head coach. Obviously, it's a little bit different now as far as going to the Big 12. How are things going to play out for them there? We'll have to wait and see. But at the end of the day, this is a trend that's going to continue, if that makes any sense as far as, coaches going out there and getting bigger paydays at bigger programs. And then, of course, now the new trend, of course, the bigger programs are poaching other big programs in order to go out there and give the head coach they feel is the guy to lead their program. So it was a bit of a shocker, but it was not a bit of a shocker at the same time as money talks and everything else walks. And now Luke Fickell is back in the Big Ten, not in Columbus, but Madison, as he is set to lead the Wisconsin Badgers. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge program here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you for tuning into this podcast. And if you like what you saw and heard, please feel free to hit the like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off. I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.